Okay, everybody, I've got some things to say about the Manchester United Jose Mourinho divorce, if you will. It's really interesting. I want to just kind of take a step back and look at it from a big picture point of view. I think today is even a little bit bigger than Jose Mourinho being sacked by Man United. Today is the death of the football manager, and what I mean is that a few months ago it was coming out over here when I was watching NBC Soccer that Man United were interested in getting a sporting director or director of football, all these different, we call it a general manager in the States. For the American football teams, you have a general manager and you have a head coach, and essentially the head coach coaches the team and the general manager drafts the players, puts the players, and obviously there's collaboration, there's work together, but essentially the coach coaches the players in training and on the pitch and comes up with a style of play, comes up with the plays, comes up with all this. But the general manager finds a coach that he will then put players into their system. So he does the checks and balances as well. He obviously heavily involved in contracts with finance guys. He does the recruitment. He hires the scouts. You know, let's just move it over real quick to the football or soccer side or football side and compare it to Man United. You've got this situation where you've got Ed Woodward, who's a bit of a plank of wood. Financially, marketing-wise, Man United have never been bigger, so he deserves a lot of credit for that. However, it seems, and I don't know for sure because I don't think anyone knows, Gary Neville alluded it today, who makes the decisions? Who tells Jose Mourinho they don't want that player? And of course, in American football, you've got the head coach going, well, I want to run these players, I want to run this style, so I need these kind of players. And then the general manager will pick them and recruit them and do the wheeling and dealing, if you will. If you think about 20 years ago, Ferguson was picking the players. Ferguson was heavily involved in the contracts. Harry Redknapp, Arsene Wenger, all these big names, these kind of historic names in the Premier League era were heavily involved in the general manager or sporting director or football director role. And you could see Jose Mourinho was wanting to be that because he's from that era and he's from that cut as well. He wants control. However, that's not the way clearly the Man United board want to go. They want to go to the new brand, the Real Madrid brand, the Barcelona brand, the American football brand. And I'm not going to talk about which I think is better, but I will put a little caveat in that Graham Souness recently said something very interesting about him doing contracts at Liverpool and that being a massive regret because he was telling someone he wasn't going to pay him a certain amount of money and then putting his arm around him. It's very difficult to do that. So I think it's really interesting exploring that, and maybe I'll talk about like the differences and the positives and negatives moving forward. But if you look at Man United now, the problem is they don't have that director of football, and that would have been Jose Mourinho. He wanted to do the recruitment, he wanted to hire the scouts, he wanted to do these things, but they didn't want to do that. United have 66 scouts right now. They were not hired by Jose Mourinho, not like in Ferguson's day where he would hire the scouts, okay? So you've got this really interesting kind of crossover now of United and big clubs move into this I'm going to just say American brand, but that may not be completely accurate, but they're wanting these director of footballs. They're wanting the kind of the real chain between the boardroom and the coach. So now you're going to see that the head coach is truly a coach now and the manager is truly the manager. And the problem is Man United don't have a director of football because Ed Woodward's been kind of filling it, Mourinho's been filling it. But obviously with what Mourinho wanted in the summer, he didn't get. Well, that means that he doesn't have the director of football role. Now, so Ed Woodward, I'm presuming, is the one that said, no, we're not going to buy Maguire, or I can't even say the Spurs lad's name, Alderweireld, or, you know. It's interesting because then you've got this missing link, and Mourinho definitely was not happy with the fact that they were thinking about a football director of football, because he wants that control, he wants that hold on it. And so you've got a man, Ed Woodward, hiring, let's just presume it's him. He's hiring the coach. Well, I could have told you Mourinho is a fantastic manager. He's a successful manager. He builds with a defence. He has a stellar defence. He plays on the counter with blistering pace. I mean, people call his football boring. Well, it's not possession football necessarily. I mean, obviously there is a time to keep the ball and that can be the first line of defence, but his teams have always been built on it. He was talking about different styles he had, that's true, but they've always been built on a solid foundation of building from the back and moving forward. And he's never won 4-0. He's never won 5-0. He's always won 1-0, 2-0. He had that season in Real Madrid when he scored a lot of goals, but that was a lot of counter-attacking too. If you actually go back, I've watched a few of them games because I've always been interested in Jose Mourinho and Cristiano Ronaldo. So he was never going to be a fit at United. United play on the front foot, and that's the problem. United don't need to find identity. I've heard someone say that. I think Gary Neville, Roy Keane, someone like that said, we need to find an identity. We don't need to find an identity. We have an identity. We're an aggressive, attacking, play with your heart on your sleeve, but skillful club, okay? We care about, Gary Neville said it right, we care about the youth coming through. We care about the style of playing. We care about winning. Okay, you need all three things to be a successful Man United manager. That's pretty much all you need, is them three things. You've got to promote youth, you've got to get the team playing in an attractive manner, and you've got to win games. So that sounds simple. It's obviously very, very difficult. Ferguson did that extremely well, but so did Matt Busby. And then you saw that we had 20 years in the 70s and 80s where we were exactly where we are now. We were a big club, but a cup team because we didn't have our identity. We already have that identity. So you need a director of football to come in, and they need to understand that. Hard to understand because Manchester United is a different animal. You've got to understand the supporters, you've got to understand the club, you've got to have been, really, you've got to have been involved with Man United before. Someone said Van der Sar for director of football. Maybe that's really astute. And then you've got to have a manager that plays that style and can coach the players. Mourinho picks players. He's very good at it. Mourinho would be a fantastic director of football, by the way. Just saying that there. Mourinho would be fantastic at that. So would have Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson pretty much was the director of football with a hand on picking the team. He didn't go in training and do the coaching. So there was a crossover. The crossover began with Ferguson, really. Now you're in a situation where Mourinho still wants control of picking players. So that's not going to happen anymore, I don't think. And again, I don't even know if that's the right thing, because I think having a football man picking them players. But again, if you've got a fan, you know, if you've got a Van der Sar, if you've got all these former players, director of football, who are astute, who are kind of businessmen too, that obviously is, that could be best case. So you've seen a death of the football manager today, I think, and I think that you'll see more and more. And it may flip and go the other way one day as well, but you'll see more and more over the next decade that you've got that general manager, I'm going to call it, in place, and you've got a coach, a true coach who gives his input on the players, or gives the kind of players he wants, doesn't even name players, the kind of players he wants, and the general manager will go and find them players, and he will coach and pick the side from the players the general manager produces for him. And that is where you're going. So I think that was the killer there. I think United decided they need to do that. I think probably they do right now. Or they need to give Mourinho complete control, which they weren't wanting to do. The summer shows that. And you need to get to a point where you have a coach. I do not know, honestly, what Liverpool do, but I do know what Arsenal are doing, what Tottenham are doing, what Chelsea are doing, and it is very much in that manner. And I feel like Liverpool are the same. So you're going to get there. That's where we're at. It's a sad day for United, because with Mourinho coming in, a proven successful manager, the most successful manager, you really thought this could be the time United could really turn this around. But they need to, as Gary Neville has been just saying all over the place recently, they need to hit the reset button, and they do need to get Woodward out of the football decision making. He does the marketing and finance brilliant. They need a director of football, and they need a head coach. Eddie Howe, I would say, would be perfect for that kind of setup. I'm just saying. You can argue about big club experience, but you don't gain big club experience until you coach a big club, by definition. So, I mean, I think he would be great. Obviously, Pochettino is going to cost a ton of money, but he'd probably be good too. I'd really like just not to... I might even make another video. Maybe I'll start making videos, because something's got my goat up here. More consistent anyway. I know I've made them in the past, but I think you've got to have now to the end of the season, because they're going to do a caretaker manager till the end of the season. You've got to have someone who understands Man United and understands the football. Really, if we play attractive football and finish 6th this season and go out in the Champions League the next round to Paris Saint-Germain, that's okay, as long as there is some attraction. I think Solskjaer would be perfect for that. He's second favourite right now to get the caretaker role. Blanc is favourite. I'm uninspired by Laurent Blanc, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Anyway, like, subscribe, put your comments below, but I might make more of these. Cheers.